When operating on fractions with whole numbers, you'll want to turn the whole numbers into fractions, so everything you're working with is a fraction. So the first thing I'm going to do is, on number 1, I'm going to turn the 8 into 8 over 1. Because any whole number, if I want to write it as a fraction, I write it over 1. So now I have 8 over 1 times 1/2. Go ahead and multiply straight across the top and bottom like you normally would. 8 times 1 over 1 times 2. We get 8 over 2, which if we reduce out of top and bottom, we get 4 over 1. I do not want to leave it as 4 over 1. 4 over 1, 4 divided by 1, equals 4. So that's what your final answer should look like there. For number 2, we're dividing fractions. So again, I'm going to turn the 8 into a fraction. So I'm going to turn that into 8 over 1. Then to divide fractions, remember, we flip the second and we change the division into multiplication. So now I can go ahead and do my multiplication. I'm going to get 8 times 2 on the top and 1 times 1 on the bottom. And again, 16 over 1 equals 16 for our final answer. Number 3, again, turn the whole number into a fraction. So this is going to be 1/2 times 8 over 1. So go ahead and do that multiplication. 1 times 8 on the top is going to give us 8. 2 times 1 on the bottom gives us 2. 8 over 2, that equals 4 over 1, or 4. Which, it's good that we just got the same answer for number 1, right? Because it's the same numbers being multiplied together. And remember, in multiplication, the order does not matter. So 8 times 1/2 should be the same as 1/2 times 8. And then for number 4, we're dividing. Now, order does matter with division. So again, I'm going to start by turning this into a fraction. So it's going to be divided by 8 over 1. And then I'm going to go ahead and flip the second fraction and multiply. Notice I'm doing it in 2 separate steps here because they both involve that 1/8 or the 8 over 1. And so I don't want to do 2 things to the same number at the same time. Now multiply, so multiply straight across the top for 1, straight across the bottom for 16. 1/16 does not reduce at all, it does not simplify at all, that's as good as it gets. So then that's going to be our final answer for number 4. One takeaway I want you to have as you take a look at these answers is the difference between multiplying and dividing by a half. Because when we multiply by a half, we're figuring out what half of the number is. So half of 8 was 4. Notice that was the same as dividing it by 2. So multiplying by half was the same as dividing by 2. Number 2, here we are dividing by a half. And when you divide by a half, notice what that did to us. 8 divided by a half gave us 16. So dividing by a half is the same as multiplying by 2. Remembering those rules can help you with some of the mental math work that you might see in the future, and they have to do kind of on a day in, day out basis.